I'm happy to join Giving Women for this important conference, Women at the Frontline of Climate Action and Innovation. Clearly, there is a strong connection and shared values between the approach of Project Dandelion and Giving Women, though it makes every sense that we partner and collaborate closely together. Project Dandelion wants to amplify further the stories of the frontline women you're supporting, and I see great women leaders and frontline organizations represented on the panels later today at this important conference. The dandelion is just a symbol. It's a wonderful flower stroke weed. It grows on every continent. It's very resilient. It regenerates the soil. You can eat or drink every part of it. And how do you spread it? You simply blow. Like you, we recognize that the climate and gender crisis disproportionately affects women and girls because of their different social roles, their different access to power, or to credit, for example, or to simply not being at the decision-making table. So we need the incredible stories of leadership and resilience building to be heard, and we need more climate finance to reach and support this vital frontline work. But Project Dandelion wants to go further, and to do so by connecting women leaders at all levels in a broad ecosystem advocating for climate justice. We want to change the narrative about the climate and nature crisis and grow our power through radical connection and communication. Our narrative is a positive, uplifting one, despite the very real crisis we're in and the lack of adequate political leadership. Essentially, the climate and nature crisis is a communications crisis, and we need to do a much better job. We're on the cusp of a much better world, a renewable energy powered, healthier, fairer, safer world. We're moving in that direction. Indeed, we're moving even faster with innovation, but we're not moving nearly fast enough for the climate and nature science. What's holding us up? A number of things. A very powerful fossil fuel lobby with a huge communications budget of over $4 billion every year to misrepresent and mess up the science. The fact that the world spends $1.8 trillion a year on what is harming us, subsidies for fossil fuel or bad land management. The fact that this has led to pushback on green policies in both developed and developing countries at exactly the wrong time, because frankly, we don't have enough time. We don't have time to misrepresent or confuse or slow down. So we need to know our power. There are hundreds of millions of us, women and men, working on the right side of this issue, building resilience, particularly at local level, innovating to make renewable energy even cheaper and more competitive, working on regenerative agriculture and restoration of biodiversity. Opinion polls globally show that we are actually the majority of people in the world, but we're not connected. If we connected our voices on phasing out fossil fuel, on switching the money from what is harming us to making renewable energy affordable and accessible, on supporting regenerative agriculture, we would encourage politicians to make the right decisions. Let me give you a recent small example of the power I'm talking about. At COP28, you may recall, governments agreed, and I'm quoting, to transition away from fossil fuels. While we were preparing for the UN Summit of the Future, which adopted the Pact for the Future, initially this wording was in the draft text, but on the second go, it was removed because of fossil fuel pressure. In response, a number of us, Nobel laureates and elders, joined in a letter that stimulated a huge pressure from so many organizations. And we got that phrase, transition away from fossil fuels, back into the text. We stopped the backsliding. We can do it. We did it at the Paris Agreement. We got the wording about 1.5 in the text because of enormous pressure from indigenous communities and civil society protesting in the street in Paris. I remember it well. So if we can really connect if we can really know that we have this power and use the power, then we can use the symbol of the dandelion. We can grow our power as the majority of the people in the world. And this means that we can and we should encourage political leadership to be more ambitious in addressing the climate and nature crisis. This is a huge goal for the women's movement globally, but actually our time has come. Our time is now. We are called upon because of the extent of the crisis, because we're suffering disproportionately. We have to be there. We have to do it. Our time is now. Thank you.